I'm live. That seemed to take an awful long time to go live. Hello, Tamara. Hello, Kapana. Hello, Larry. Thank you for coming. Hello, Michael. Hi, Kapana. Yeah, excuse me, I had a cold over Christmas and I still seem to have a croaky voice. So you'll have to forgive the voice a bit. I've got some water with me. Hi, Sydney. Um, Yeah, every time I go live solo, hi Michelle, nice to see you. Happy New Year, by the way, to everybody. This is the first live I've done this year, so doing it on my own. Yeah, and I was about to say, every time I go live on my own, I always like when I press that go live button, I think I've got no idea what I'm going to talk about, and it doesn't matter how much I plan beforehand. I still think I've got no idea what I'm going to talk about, but I'll just waffle on for half an hour or something. No, seriously. Hi, Michelle. Yeah, no, seriously. I was going to talk. Oh, love VK. Hiya. Yes, so I was going to talk about unshakable confidence. I'm still going to talk about unshakable confidence. But what I wanted to talk about first, because it is the start of the year, in case you weren't aware of that, it's January. You just did your first live. Oh, well done, Michelle. I thought you'd done them before. That's brilliant. I hope it went well. I did see it actually come up, but because I was getting ready for this one and having my tea, I couldn't watch it, but I'll catch the replay. So well done. Congratulations. Yeah, so things, trauma matrix. Oh, hi, Chris. 1 minute daily boost. Hi, lovely to see you. Um, yeah, so what was I saying? So, excuse my throat. I've got a bit of still got a bad throat from Christmas. So things that we plan to do, but for whatever reason don't get round to doing them. So this is a time of year where people supposedly set their New Year's resolutions, and supposedly, apparently, 80% of people forget them by February. I know I've done that myself. That's why I don't set them anymore. Um, but that does mean that 20%, so 1 in 5 people do achieve whatever they set out to do. So, there are some people out there that are setting New Year's resolutions and seeing them through. Hi, Rudy. Hi, Megan. Um, so things that hold us back. Why do we set goals and resolutions and things and never get them done? There's lots of reasons, really. I mean, if I asked you why you hadn't achieved the goal that you set for yourself last year, you might say something like, well, I just didn't have the time, or I didn't have the money, or I wasn't ready. I needed to go on another course, go on and read another book. We come up with all these reasons. And at the end of the day, there's nearly always a belief, an inner reason why we're not doing the things we set out to do. Usually it's based on fear, fear in all sorts of different forms. So that could be, now I've been guilty of all of these, still am to a lot of extent. So things well, like I said, saying you don't have the time. Um, and yeah, time is precious. And, some people have full-time jobs, they've got families, so they go to work all day, they come home, they then, have the kids to feed and put to bed. Hi, Colin, by the way. Feed the kids, put them to bed, and then you think, oh God, now I haven't got no energy to start anything else. But what we have to think about is, first of all, if we really want to do it, can we find the time? Can we find just a little space of time to do something? Because something is better than nothing, and something starts you moving forward. So if, your aim is to write a book, could you write 1 page of that book? Could you write a basic outline? Could you start detailing your chapters? Could you start just, getting ready to write, getting like a nice notebook and a nice pen if you're going to write by hand, just things that get you motivated to actually want to do it. Um, setting a time aside. So, bearing in mind you haven't got a lot of time, but if you had, say, 10 minutes in the morning just to sit and write something. So that's the way you get started. You build that motivation, that momentum by doing something. Money is another thing. Like, I can't afford to leave my job because I've got to pay the bills, which is absolutely fair enough. We've all got bills to pay and they're going up all the time. So maybe, you could find something that you could start without having the money. Maybe if you save up, um, oh, this is a long story. Larry, uh, Temu sobriety is my goal for 2026. I have an eBay store home business and have depended on Temu for a lot of my inventory, especially coloured pencils and adult colouring books. And oh, you disappeared. Colouring books and art reproductions. My store goal is to break even. And I hope that in my fifth year, 2026 will be the year that finally happens. One of my biggest expenses in the past has been establishing an inventory, which has grown a little out of control. So this year, my outgoings will hopefully exceed my incoming. Brilliant. Okay. That's amazing, Larry. Yeah. So you've been doing it. That's the thing, and you're getting nearer to your goal. And that's the other thing to bear in mind, that nothing happens overnight. Um, but fear is the main thing that holds us back. So procrastination is a sign of fear. So we find reasons why we can't get things finished. When I wrote my book, it took me ages to actually get it published because I'd written it, I'd had it edited, it was all absolutely ready to go. And I couldn't get it done because then it's out in the world and people will see it. And you have to say to yourself, that was the idea of writing it in the first place. But it's just so difficult to think, well, what will people think? What will they say? And looking at it and thinking, oh, I'd need to work on this some more. It's just not good enough. And I'm the queen of that, looking at things and thinking, this isn't good enough. I need to work on it some more. I published my very first YouTube video. So I've been putting my lives lately. I opened a YouTube channel and my lives have been going onto that. But this was the first podcast I actually did um, and put it on YouTube yesterday. And just pressing that button and getting it on there was so difficult. But this year, one of my main goals for this year is to push past fear. Whenever that procrastination, self-doubt comes up, to push past and get things done. Sylvia, what is your book about? Well, surprise, surprise, it's about confidence. It's called Building Confidence: How to Thrive as a Shy Person. I wrote it in lockdown with no clue what I was doing, but I had nothing else to do. So I wrote a book and then had it published. So, hi, Salwa. Lovely to see you here. Yeah, so other things that hold us back, apart from procrastination and perfectionism, which are both signs of fear, like fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of it not being perfect. Um, and needing to know more. So always thinking, yeah, I'm not an expert on this. How can I call myself an expert? How can I start a YouTube channel or a Substack publication because I don't know enough? Well, you probably know more than the people that are reading your work or listening to your podcast. Because that's why they're following you, because they want to learn from you. Oh, bless you. Thank you, Sylvia. Yeah, do read it. It's on Amazon. I think that's the only place you can get it. That was the only thing I knew how to publish it on. Um, and then on top of that, you've got the block of discomfort. So the block of discomfort is basically you don't want to do what needs to be done. This is where people think, okay, I'm looking at this person and they're brilliant. They've done this, that, and the other. I want to be like that. And then you try one thing and it goes wrong and you think, oh, they can do it, but I can't. I'm obviously not good enough. So therefore I'll just give up. And what you're comparing yourself to is them after years of experience of, trying and failing and trying again. And then you're trying for the first time and failing and giving up. And this is what we do. This is how we sabotage ourselves. And none of it's intentional. I mean, nobody sets out to set a goal and then sabotage themselves so they never get it. It's just the beliefs that we have in our head that tell us in whatever shape or form we're not good enough, stop us from getting there. So I did write some notes down today because normally I come blank and then I just run out of things to say. Um, so how do you start something? The first thing to do is be clear about what you want to do. So, you don't necessarily have to write it down, but have in your mind a clear picture of what you want to achieve. Now, I'm not a great believer in setting a goal and then, aiming for that goal and not enjoying the process, just doing everything you possibly can to get to that goal. I think have an idea in mind of what you want to get to. So, for example, I want to write a book. I want to start my own business. I want to be successful in my career. Have that in mind, but don't make it so rigid that, if you don't get there, then it's the end of the world, because that's only going to depress you. Sydney, I'm going to check it out after this. Excited about your book. Very inspiring. Thank you. I would say it's not the best thing I've ever done. I need to write another book, but for saying I wrote it without any writing experience and had no idea what I was doing, I don't think it's too bad. And this is me being hard on myself again. Beliefs are everything. Colin says, beliefs are everything and far easier to change than most imagine. Yes, they are easy to change. But hard to change, if that makes sense. They're easy and hard at the same time, because the things we believe, we've been conditioned, we've been domesticated, we've been brought up with all these ideas in our head that our subconscious has built up proof that they're true, because that's what your subconscious does. You believe something, you get something in your head, and your subconscious spends all of its time trying to prove that that's true. So when you come to make a change, you've got to override that. You've got to put in a new pathway. So the analogy I like to use is walking across a field. So you've got a field, you've got a gate one side and a gate the other side. And say, for example, it's a shortcut into town. So everybody walks across the field. So they're all going to walk in a straight line from one gate to the opposite gate. So over time, that line they've been walking is going to become a well-trodden path. So there's the grass either side on the field, but there's that really clear line going down the middle of the field from one side to the other. So if you want to start a new path, if you move the gates to one side, then people will start walking down a new path. And at first it's overgrown, it's difficult to walk down, and maybe you don't really know where you're going. But you'll start walking down it, and over time, that path becomes a new pathway. Now, the old pathway might be a little bit overgrown, but it's still there. And this is what's happening in your brain, your neural pathways. You can't delete a belief from your head, but what you can do is override it with something that's better. And then you need to persuade your brain, your subconscious mind, to look for evidence that that's true. That's very simple terms. I'm not a neuroscientist, but that's how it works. So we need to set new beliefs. So going back to how you get to start something new, you be clear on what you want and be clear on why you want it, because our brains like emotion. They work on images and emotion, which is why visualization, vision boards are very useful. When you have a clear picture in your mind of what you want, and when you know why you want it. So, say, for example, I want to start my business so that I can be financially free, so that I can give my children a better life. So, the children is that emotional pull. If you're doing it for your children, if you're doing it for a better life for your family, then that gives you more of a motivation, more of a pull, because you're more likely to do it because you're doing it for that particular reason. So, say, for example, you have something you're really passionate about, like a cause. Um, I want to help people. I want to help homeless people get off the street and get somewhere to live, and make lives for themselves. So you're going to put all of your energy into maybe starting, I don't know, a foundation or a charity or something that helps homeless people. It's just if you've got a very clear why as to why you're doing it, and that has an emotional pull to it, then you're more likely to be successful. And then you've got to figure out, well, this is what I want and this is why I want it. Why am I not getting it? What's standing in my way? And then when you find what's standing in your way, like, well, every time I get near to pushing the the publish button on my post, I back off. And then you think, why am I doing that? Because maybe it traces it back and you find there was a teacher at school that ridiculed you. So therefore you're really worried that somebody will read something you've written and you'll get, trolled, and people will say, this is rubbish. What are you talking about? Larry, resonating with many of your words based on my 5-year experience beginning and developing a home store business. Something small, which in the past 3 months has grossed sales of $22,000. Wow, well done, Larry. Uh, Far beyond anything I ever anticipated. No profit, but that's not my goal. Breaking even and having fun is my goal. It'd be nice to have a little bit of profit for all the work you've put into it, though, Larry. So, don't missell yourself. Make sure you get value for what you're doing. But that's brilliant. Well done. Um, and then you've got to ask yourself, if what's holding me back, if my fears and my limiting beliefs all disappeared overnight, then what would I do? So if I had no fear at all, what would I do? And this is where we come to having an unshakable confidence. So for me, when I split up with my last husband, well, not my last husband, I've got one now, but my husband before, hi Judith, by the way. Yeah, so when I split up with my ex-husband, my end of my toxic marriage, that was the end of 3 toxic relationships in a row. And my only goal at that point was to stop being a victim, to stop getting into bad relationships, because I was in victim mode and didn't have very good self-esteem, didn't really love or respect myself. This is 30 years ago. So over the last 30 years, I've built up my confidence. So initially, my goal was just to be able to talk to people, which was very difficult for me, to believe in myself again. So I had very small beliefs, very small wants, very small goals and aims. And gradually, I built up my confidence. I read loads and loads of self-help books. I wrote a self-help book, like I said. So that book I was talking about, building confidence, it's kind of but some of my story wound into some confidence tips as to how to improve your confidence. Um, but now I feel that I could build myself an unshakable confidence, because as confident as I am now, and I'm so different to what I was 30 years ago. I'm so different to what I was 5 years ago. Talking to literally myself on a screen, and then going out live on Substack. That that's such a big thing for me, really. Um, for somebody that wouldn't say boo to a goose when I was younger. Um, and I just think now I could be I could be unstoppable. And I wanted to see where can I take this? I've built up my confidence. I'm very confident. I'm resilient. Very I'm a very warm, generous, loving person now, but I don't suffer fools. I can stand up for myself. Um, and so I wanted to see what my potential could be. How far could I go? So this, for me, 2026, my one word for this year is trust. Trusting in myself and pushing myself to see where I could go. How far could I take my confidence? Which might mean, I think, definitely writing another book, but it also might mean, I'm saying might, let's say it will mean public speaking. Now, I have no idea how you do that, how you get a public speaking role. I know Veronica does her courses on that, so I might need to join that. But that's kind of come into my head. Now, that came into my head and I thought, that seems like a good idea. And then I thought, why am I saying that? This is going to be frighten me to death. Why am I saying it sounds like a good idea? But that just shows my mindset is changing, my transformation. So the other thing I was going to mention tonight is I am about to start a high currency collector of books. Um, Colin, you're reminding me of Dorothea Brand's book, Wake Up and Live. Oh, okay. I haven't read that. I'm going to look that up. Oh, and I take it that was a good book then. Brilliant. Thank you. Yeah, Wake Up and Live. That was definitely me. I was walking around like a zombie at the end of my toxic marriage, and I did need to start to live, to find my life and rebuild it. Thank you, Colin. Thank you for that. Yeah, so I am starting group coaching. So again, this is something new for this year. So I've started the podcast already. I put my first video podcast on YouTube yesterday, and I have recorded another 3, and I've got another one this week to record. So these will be going on soon. I'm getting my head around editing now, which took me ages on the last one, but I'll get faster. So group coaching, yeah. So this is the second thing I'm going to start this year. So I have a cohort starting in January, and it's called Unshakable Confidence. And it's 6 weeks. It's a 6-week group coaching cohort. I'll probably do 4 of them this year, so one every quarter. But 6 weeks to cover what I see as the 4 pillars of self-confidence. So self-esteem, self-love, self-belief, and self-acceptance. So covering all of those. So helping you understand your worth, helping you to believe in yourself, to love yourself, to accept yourself the way you are. So it's kind of building each week on what we've done the week before. And then to look at how we put all of those together, because I see those as the 4 corners of strong self-confidence. Hi, Deborah. Yeah, so I see those as the 4 corners of self-confidence. So the week 5 would be how you put those together and build your self-confidence. And then week 6, the final week, would be like a summing up, a summary, and where we go from there. So how you bring that into your life to become more confident. So that's what I'm starting. So there is the link is on my chat, but I will put it when this goes out. I'll put it on the post. In case anybody's interested. But if you have any questions on that and what I'm doing, then please let me know. I'm quite excited about this because it's kind of putting into a coaching practice everything that I've learned, but kind of condensing it down. So as a kind of starter. Um, and for anybody really. So anybody that I'm particularly aiming in at people that are people pleasers, people that always say yes to things when really they know they want to say no, uh, to the perfectionists, the people that don't release anything until they get it right and then don't release anything at all. So one of the ways that we hold ourselves back, I was mentioning, the procrastinators, the people that have imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is very much linked to a low self-esteem, because if you have a low self-esteem and you think there's something wrong with you. So in my case, I always thought I wasn't good enough because I wasn't clever enough, because I didn't go to university. I didn't, always get top marks in exams. So that meant to me I was stupid, which is rubbish. But that was my limiting belief, that I just wasn't clever enough. And so when you then get a job, so imposter syndrome normally comes along when you start a new job, but it can be anything new that you're starting. So when people start telling you you're good at something, like you go for a job interview and get the job, you write a book or start writing on Substack or something, and people start telling you it's good, then you think to yourself, well, hang on a minute, I'm not good enough. So what they're saying can't be right. I can't be great at my job. I can't be, a great writer. I can't be brilliant at what I do if I'm not good enough, if I'm not clever enough, if I'm not pretty enough, if I'm not tall enough, blah, 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 whatever it is that you believe about yourself. The two don't go together. So this is where imposter syndrome jumps in, because you are telling yourself, well, they're saying this, but this is what I believe, and it doesn't match up. And so therefore, it must be a fluke. They must be wrong. I'm faking it. And one day somebody's going to find out. And that's basically how imposter syndrome works. So, so my coaching is aimed at those as well. And anybody that wants to improve their confidence, because we all do, really. I'm still on the road to improving my confidence. So self-esteem, self-love, self-belief, self-acceptance, putting it all together, and then mapping out what 2026 is going to look like for you and what you're going to do with what you've learned over the 6 weeks. So that's the group coaching. It starts on January the 16th, which is a Friday. And I deliberately chose a Friday because it's the end of the week. So it's the end of the week where we start to wind down. And I just thought that would be a good time to work on yourself, to start investing in yourself. So if you're interested in that, have a look. Does anybody have any questions or anything else to say? Anybody want to tell me what their aim is for this year? Because I've kind of run out of things to say. I've got to the end of my notes, and my voice is giving out quite fast now. So if nobody else has anything else to say, I'll probably end here. But thank you so much for coming and listening to me once again. I know I ramble on a little bit, but hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And anything you need to know, just let me know. And I'll see you all soon. I'm back next Monday. Oops,